Hey, what's up?
I don't know. Full of tacos.
I am also full of tacos. It seems like every time we come up to the studio, we have to stop and get tacos somewhere.
Yeah, we've had tacos from multiple places.
Basically, Shapeshift is fueled by tacos. So, are you ready to be a rabbit?
A rabbit?
Didn't you prepare for the Warren?
No.
Oh, well, I guess we can't play anything today.
Okay, let's go home.
All right, bye. You get more tacos on the way back. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry.
I'm not. I want some more tacos.
Okay, that's not what I'm
Actually, no.
about.
The behind the scenes, I have a taco waiting for me after we're done. I saved it.
A reward taco for escaping this game that we're going to play. I yet again was not able to prepare for the Warren as much as I want to play it. So we're going to play a 2-player game again called A Scoundrel in the Deep, which is by, okay, I'm going to butcher these names.
Go for it.
I apologize in advance, but it's by Renato, Ramonda, and Flavio Mortarino. Flavio Mortarino. Did you prepare for this one?
Yes. The problem is I prepared a week ago, so how much do I remember?
Okay. Well, lucky for us, I did it this morning.
Good. You can do...
Strong prep here, too.
Yeah, you can cover for both of us.
Well, it's only like a 5-page document, so I think we'll be fine. We'll be just fine. So, in The Scoundrel in the Deep, it is a collaborative storytelling for, they say 2 adults. Because I think it's because it requires matches. So, probably wouldn't recommend this for children to play with each other. They'll set things on fire. All this game, mechanic-wise, is a box of matches. So, basically, one of us will be playing a scoundrel.
That's me.
Uh-huh. And you're going to try to return to the surface from an ancient tomb of the deep.
That's you.
I am the deep. And I'm supposed to keep you in the tomb and deny you glory.
Okay.
Okay. We have our matches. And we have, sure, a fireproof container. It's like a party cup filled with water. And then got some index cards and pins and shit. So you already got your scoundrel in mind.
Yes.
Okay. And I already have the tomb in mind.
Okay.
So I guess we can just go ahead and get started?
I guess so.
Are you nervous?
Yes, because this game, unlike the other games we've played, involves a time limit.
Oh, yeah, the matches.
In the form of the match.
Right. So to let you guys know, basically what's going to happen in this game is the actual, mechanic of the game is striking a match, and the time that the match is alight is basically the time that the scoundrel gets to react to what's going on in the tomb, because the tomb is completely pitch black.
Mm-hmm. And if there's anything that I dislike in any game, it's just any time limit. So this is going to be an interesting challenge for me.
To start off, I'm going to set basically the first kind of scene to give you an idea where your scoundrel, what happened. Okay, so you are in the Tomb of the Deep, and you are stealing a ruby. It was sitting in the hand.
Oh, does it already start where it's already been picked up?
Yeah, because that's what you're doing. You have it. I'm assuming you already have it.
Yeah.
So now you're escaping.
Yeah, so the very first sentence of this, I've already forgotten.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I have the ruby in my pants.
Is that where you keep the ruby?
Well, I just got big pockets.
I mean, you're a scoundrel, so you can have whatever you want on you.
And big baggy pants.
You've got cargo shorts on.
Yeah. Finally, a use for these stupid side pockets.
You put the ruby in there. So the ruby was sitting in the palm of a hand of a crumbling statue of a woman. And when you touched it, you realize it's not really hard. It kind of feels soft.
Like Jell-O.
Kind of like a Jell-O jiggler. It's about the size of a grapefruit. Once you lifted it out of the palm of the statue, the ground beneath you split open and you were shooted down into pitch black darkness. And so you land with a soft thunk.
Okay.
And you're on the ground right now.
Hours have passed since I conquered the ruby at the bottom of the Tomb of the Deep. Luckily, I still have a length of silk rope and an old but sharp dagger.
You can feel that the ground is very soft, kind of like carpet, but kind of moist. And as you sit up and you breathe in and get your what's about you. The air is heavy with a sickeningly sweet smell.
My lamp dwindles. Tired and hungry, I must scramble in the pitch dark. Only a few matches in my pocket separate me from endless inky blackness. My fate is in my own hands. And I got a match. And then I offer it to you.
Yep. But peril lurks in the dark. And you can hear this low humming. And then I give this back to you. Here's the match.
I just need to make it outside.
All right, so now we're ready to strike the match. If you light it right now and the match catches fire, you're going to pass it to me, and I'll describe the peril and pass it back. So I'll try to quickly describe what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, this is what makes me nervous about this game. Not just the existence of fire in the middle of, flammable materials everywhere, but just the ticking time clock of imagination.
Oh, God. So as you light your match, you see that there is a grove of trees and that they are covered in ghost white looking apples. And there's apples all over the ground, dead branches and dead leaves. And there's a large cloud of buzzing, humming bees that are about the size of like 2 inches. Here's a match back.
Bees? I grab a branch, I light it on fire, and I walk out. I kind of race out of the room, kind of swinging it at these bees, and then I make it out of the room.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, if it's gonna be like that, that'll be a little easy.
Cool. Yeah. So basically, what ends up happening is you light the branch on fire, and the smoke makes a big cloud, and the bees stay away from it. And you get to the other side where you see an archway and stairs leading up.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I had to say it so fast. I was like, "Oh God!" I saw your eyes getting big as I'm describing. You're like, Amber, you're taking too long to describe what's
especially
going on.
the part where you said something wrong and I had to re-say it. I was like, that's my time.
Okay, cool. Whoo!
So as the scoundrel is climbing up the stairs, he's thinking back on the events of yesterday, being chased by the loud voices screaming his name as he runs off into the woods.
As you're making your way up these stairs and back again in total pitch blackness, the air is starting to become damp. And you reach the top and you start to walk into this room and the ground feels uneven. And we make one step and your foot kind of falls into a puddle of water.
Mm-hmm. And what is it? I'm looking for 10 matches. Yeah.
10 matches?
Yeah.
I don't have enough things described.
Well, this is how I feel.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Oh, God. Let me get ready.
It's a very stressful game.
I know this is very stressful because I have to, describe something super, super fast.
All right, I'm going to light this
match.
No,
hold on.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. So as you light the match, you see in front of you, or you're standing on a bunch of hexagonal stones. And
it burned out.
Oh, burned out.
So what does that mean?
The flame died.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to tell you the exact peril.
Okay.
For me, I was going to have the light be actually alerting the peril in this game, in this section of the tomb. So narratively, the peril doesn't see you. Okay.
For him, he's just walking through a hallway, thinks everything is just, silent and creepy and okay. He has no idea of the horrors that he had missed. As I'm walking down this hallway, I'm kind of hugging the wall just to kind of to know the direction I'm going because it's pitch black. So my fingers brush against like a sword that feels kind of like mass produced, just like very generic, old, slightly rusty sword. I slide it into my belt.
So now what do we do? So now you still have the matchbox.
Okay, so we do it again.
So now you've walked down this hallway and it's been uneven and your feet are getting wet, and as you're guiding your hand down the walls, you've been collecting stringy, goopy, mass stuff, like slime has been collecting on your hand as you've been walking. And when you get out of this hallway, it feels immense in this room. It feels vast. And you kind of look up and you see way, way up high, just like specks of some sort of lighting, shining glow at the top. And you hear this lapping of maybe water. And every once in a while, like water parting.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Almost. One sec. Okay, here we go.
Oh my god.
Ready?
Yes. You see a huge pond in front of you with giant lily pads. As the light emanates outwards, you see these glowing eyes. It's a 15-foot stag with moss on its antlers. At the very end of the lake, you can see that there's an entrance or an exit.
All right, I dive right in. I swim to the nearest lily pad, and I just like make a beeline from lily pad to lily pad. And I just, anytime it gets close, I pull out my dagger and I stab it in the head.
Well, there you go.
Just in time.
Stab it in the head. Okay.
It's
You're
just
fine.
in my hand.
It's like a 15-foot stag with moss on his antler. That was good, though, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time with this because I'm thinking of just getting everything out in time. I'm not actually thinking about what I'm saying so much.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's kind of automatic response.
That's good.
So I have no idea what I'm saying.
That's hilarious. This is fun.
I stab it. I run.
I
swim.
I swim. I jump on lily pad to lily pad to the entrance. Okay, cool. So now that you've had the matchbox 3 times,
Yes.
You have to hand it to me. Darkness has fallen again, and you've made it across the lake and have found basically what looks like a tunnel, but it's tall enough that you can stand upright in it.
Mm-hmm.
As you lean against it inside of this tunnel, you can feel it's dusty.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like you know what trees feel like. It feels like roots, and under your feet it feels slidey and dusty. It feels warm in here compared to where you just came from.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear scraping, scuttling noises.
Great.
Oh god, we have to light a match. Are you ready?
Yeah. Right now I was just thinking about the Jell-O that's in my cargo shorts.
Oh my gosh.
So tell me more about this ruby. How what's the word I'm looking for? How elastic is this? How solid does it feel?
It feels really dense.
Okay.
And I mean, you can push in on it, but it's not like
It's like a Swedish fish, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. But it
use terms that I can understand.
yes, candy terms.
What kind of candy terms are we talking about?
It's a Swedish fish. Okay.
All right. Oh, it broke.
Shit, it broke. The match fucking broke.
Haha.
Oh, God.
Let's
The deep is lighting the match and it breaks or fails to fire after 2 tries, and the peril is of little consequence or the noise was misleading. The scoundrel can catch their breath, describing a moment of rest. The scoundrel can also narrate how they chance on a new item in the tomb.
Okay. Let's see.
The scoundrel gets the broken failed match, so here you go.
Thank you.
This is when you touch the gummy in your pants.
Yeah, this is what I'm feeling for the consistency, trying to figure out if it's a Swedish fish or a great white shark gummy.
Yes.
I think as I'm walking down this hallway, the scuttling noise I heard may have been misleading. It may have just been rats scurrying away from me, just trying to get away from the oncoming noise of my boots. You know, I just finished stabbing a stag in the face, so I'm probably going to just sit down and kind of catch my breath, and I think back to the letter that I wrote and left on the kitchen table, and hoping that it was read and well received. And while I'm sitting there on the ground, I see that there was an item that had fallen and landed between some of the roots on the ground, submerged a little bit in a pool of water, and the item it's like a little stone, and it gently glows. I don't know what it is. When I wave it around in front of myself, it's not a light source.
Okay.
It's too faint to be any light source.
Okay. It's just emanating a little bit of a light.
But yeah, just a tiny
glowing.
bit. The glow seems to kind of come and go, and I don't really know what it is, but I put it in my pocket because I don't know. It's not a bug. It's not.
Okay.
I don't know. It looks cool. Yeah, I'll take it with
Memento.
me. Yeah.
So you get back up after you've rested, now with your new glowy item, and you walk to the end of this tunnel, and you can feel in front of you feels like leathery ropes. And as you rub your hands against it, you can feel leaves on it. That you step through this basically curtain of ropes, and your boots hit the ground, and you can tell that you're walking on grass now. You know what grass feels like.
Yes. It's a feeling I have not felt in a while.
Your foot, as you walk in, hits, and you can feel maybe a root, like from the room before.
You ready?
No.
Don't break it.
The light enters the room, and you see 4 statues standing around a circular pond, and the light went out.
4 statues.
Okay, so,
and I saw all those statues, and each of the statues, behind each of them, there was a doorways leading in complete opposite directions. I'm inspecting this stone that I found on the ground, and I'm kind of waving it in front of me. And the closer it goes towards one door, it lights up a little bit brighter than other doorways. So I follow that path and I continue on.
That was good. Good job. I love it. So you enter the north door, and it's more stairs leading up, and it spirals up.
So after I walk through the doorway, away from the statue room, I kind of stumble on a skeleton. It's kind of looks like it may have been a previous adventurer, and he's got a little backpack. So I pick up the backpack. There's nothing in it except for maybe like 3 or so dry rations. So I just grab that and put it on my back.
You're using, you have your hand along the wall as you're walking up to help steady you and guide you up there. And as your hand's passing by stuff, you feel still vines kind of like going up this staircase with you. When you walk into this next area, again, it feels like you're walking through grass. A little higher this time. There's still the feeling of vines. You can feel them under your feet as you're walking. You get this feeling of dread. You walk into this room and something is present in this room. You can feel it. Just this energy. It does not want you to go further. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be. Let's go.
The match is lit, and you see all these vines just immediately shoot up into the air. There's flowers on them, and they're coming towards you. At the end of the room, you can see that there's a whole door. God damn it!
These are supposed to last too.
I know. I think there's wind in this room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, here's what happened, because now I do have a bit more description of what was going on. So these vines shoot up, and this is the perfect time to pull out my sword, and I just hack at all of these vines, cutting a path. It takes a while, but I've cut a path to the door that I see. So right before I made it to the door, and I hacked the last group of vines, I kind of look back at the path that I had cut through, and I see that the vines are all cut and on the ground, and they kind of have thorns on them. I take one, because it's kind of whip-like shape, and I just kind of roll it up and attach it to my hip. Now I got a little vine whip.
All right, so I've had this matchbox 3 times. How many matches do you have? 6?
Yes, I have 6.
4 more times before you escape. Okay, I've got an idea. So you just went through the vine room?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I got my vine whip.
You go into this next room. You can feel more breeze, and it smells fresh. And you can hear, I don't know, you just hear the swooshing noise in this room. And where you're standing right now, if you moved your arms out, there's nothing around you. And the ground, as you're walking on it, feels pretty flat and stable. Feels like maybe there's a rock or two underneath your foot, but for the most part, maybe just a dirt. Just dirt.
Okay. All right, you ready?
I guess.
All right, here I go.
Yep. You strike the match, and you can see in front of you a path leading down a dirt path, and on either side there's tall wheat fields. And as you're making your way down, you see these hands starting to come out of the field to grab you.
Okay. I'm going to use 2 items.
Okay.
Before I step into the wheat field, I have my glowstone. I know what it does now. I have it outstretched in front of me. I pick the path where it's the brightest, and I go that direction with my sword out. These hands are reaching for me. I'm swinging. I'm cutting wheat. I'm cutting these arms off. My sword is also rusty, so it breaks by the time I get to the end of the room. And I throw it on the ground.
And so at the end, you follow the stone through the wheat field, and you get to another archway. By the time you get to this archway, darkness has fallen again.
And I'm exhausted. I mean, I'm out of breath after hacking and slashing my way through this room. So I stop to catch my breath, and I'm thinking about what led me to write this letter. And I'm standing in front of the pantry. I open it up. There's not much inside, but everything that's inside, I eat. And I just eat and eat and eat until I hear someone yell out my name, and then I take off.
or you to go through the archway and you're walking down, it starts to get narrower and narrower and narrow to the point where you're now basically crawling on your hands and knees.
Which is good because I'm really tiny.
It gets to the point where, yeah, it's a pretty small, like maybe a small adult could fit through this hole. And when you pull through and you put your hand in through this hole to get through it, your hand hits what feels like flaky stuff, like
biscuity,
like cornflakey.
Okay.
Like crunchy leaves almost. And you put your hand through, you crawl through, and you pull your arm in, and you go crunch, 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 crunch. It just hits you, this overwhelming, nasty smell of rot. Like, it almost makes you want to vomit.
So real life Brandon can't smell, so I don't really know what this feeling is like. I don't know.
That's right.
How do smells work?
It's putrid.
That doesn't mean much to me.
I'm doing it for the listeners. I'm not doing it for you. It's rancid. And you crawl through and you pull yourself up.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Ready?
Yeah. You see, as light enters the room, that you're standing on a ledge, and below you is a pit of basically dead, rotting bodies where there's tons of beetles eating. Across from this, you can see that there is a ladder leading up.
Okay. Well, I definitely don't want to get in the pit, so I take out my vine whip and I see a branch that's sticking out, and I whip it and then I swing across like Star Wars.
Yes, like Star Wars to get to the ladder.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and I have now lost my whip. I mean, I did it within the time, but essentially I could have just blown it out instead of using an item. So I'm gonna cross that out.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I'm not getting that whip back.
It falls down. Oh my God. So you got through and you got the match. Okay. So you're climbing up. And as you're climbing up, you can feel more and more breeze. And it feels stronger. It's cold and it's hard. And it just feels like you're never stopping climbing. It just like it keeps going. What?
Snake eater.
Yeah, yes.
What a thrill.
Yeah. But, so yeah, you continue climbing. It feels like you're climbing forever, and the wind is getting stronger, and it's coming in gusts now. So you're hanging onto this ladder, and you strike a match. You see the cylindrical pit continuing upwards, and all around you are these stone faces with their mouths shaped like, and you can see that they're getting ready to blow harder.
Blow harder.
Like wind gusts is coming out of it. You feel it trickling at first, but then the wind keeps coming stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're starting to lose your grip.
Okay. I take my rope and I wrap it around my waist to the ladder so I can feel the gusts coming, so I know when to expect these gusts. So when I feel that it's getting ready to ramp up, I tie myself to the ladder. And once the gusts stop, I untie myself and continue up the ladder. And each time I feel the gust coming back, I tie myself up and off again, and I make my way up to the ladder.
Yeah. Okay. You reach the top and you pull yourself up over a ledge, and you've come out of this pit hole. You can feel the little glowy stone that you had in your pocket start to glow warm. Feels warmer. You look out, and all around you looks like a field of like these little glowing stones. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You ready for me to start the match?
Yes.
You see surrounding you all like 3-inch high figures that are pure white, and they're holding these little things that look like dandelion puffs and like look like little balls. And as one of the little figures blows a little puff at you, it hits your hand and starts to burn. At the very end, you can see that there's a crack in this giant stone wall, and daylight's coming from it.
So I'm going to blow this out, and I'm going to use an item.
Okay.
I'm going to use the glowstone. So one of the figures is holding up their hand, and nothing is in it. So I drop the glowstone into their hand. That crack that was in the wall, it breaks open just a little bit larger, and it looks like freedom is on the other side of that. It looks like I might be out of this dungeon.
The little figures will part away from you, and you can head down towards that crack. Okay. Now, I mean, you're done. You got 10 matches?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're free.
I feel relieved. I feel very hopeful, but I also feel a little nervous. So I'm making my way back home, and I know at this point the letter has been read, and I'm replaying it in my mind what I wrote down for them. Mama, Papa, Babushka, Diedushka, I'm sorry. I ate what was left. I need strength for us all. Not even roots have been found lately. We are living as the dead. I will bring back something to help us live again. Maxime. And I tighten my backpack straps, and I head back home as quickly as I can so that they won't be worried for long.
Brandon, that was good. Why do you look so nervous?
Because...
That was so good.
Yeah, but it's also real life, Amber.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I got this idea when I was reading the Ukrainian Notebooks, a graphic novel about famine from the early 1900s. It sounded absolutely horrifying what people had to go through in those situations.
Oh my God.
Digging up roots in the woods.
Well, good thing that...
Just cut all that out.
No, I think it's good because I like that idea. Because like for me, it's so funny you were asking me like wonder if our ideas will line up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have made the ruby is actually a large pomegranate seed.
Oh.
So...
Fuck.
Yeah.
Go with that. Tell me more about that.
So I basically was going to be like, it's Persephone's ruby. So basically it was a seed that you would be able to plant and it would just be basically a seed that made your lands fertile.
Well, shit. That's just perfect.
I know. I was like, holy crap. That was great. So yeah, how'd you like this game?
The game was an interesting mix of emotions.
Yeah.
I did like the format of it a lot, the back and forth. I like the match mechanic.
Yeah.
It is stressful. It's supposed to be, but it was still stressful. And it was difficult for me to not just describe what I'm doing in this time limit, but also process
what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like I had a little bit of setup with just what the room looks like, at least, surrounding me and not the peril, but listening to the peril and coming up with the solution was completely real time, and matches suck.
Yeah.
So like...
I was surprised I broke one.
Yeah.
I loved playing this because for me, as a GM, I have to start thinking about like dungeons and like traps and puzzles and stuff and setting scenes and getting the feel. So I enjoyed playing this game because it was pushing on me to be more descriptive and thinking outside of just sight. So things that smell, how it feels on under your feet, what you're touching as you're going through a room in complete darkness. And I felt that this was a good game to help strengthen that skill set.
Yeah, it seemed to be that. And in a way, it was also good for me as a player because I wasn't having to describe the environment. I was describing actions and how I was responding.
So my prep for this was literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 note cards. And what I did for it was I kind of knew what the ruby was. And I kind of knew what I wanted the tomb to be. I wanted it to be natural, ancient, sacred, with valleys and caverns. Knowing that I was going to have to describe things without sight, I just put down, first room, what does it feel like in there? Second room, what does it feel like? Third room, fourth room. And then I knew what the peril was going to be. And then I also had a note to myself, like when the match is lit, what is seen? And that was really helpful. And what's also interesting is I only did 4 rooms and we ended up doing like almost 8 or 9 different rooms.
Yeah.
I was preparing for maybe something longer format and just only having 4 rooms. But the way that this game is set up with a match, it's like strike, you're in this room, the peril's in here, go. And you're supposed to have 5 matches will win a game for the deep and 10 matches. I didn't prepare for 10 rooms. So what was really cool was when I failed to describe something or like the match went out or something while I was trying to describe something, you just got to go away peril free, which meant I got to recycle bits and pieces of the rooms that I had. And
it gave me a jumping point off of describing my own take on that. Like you were describing the statue room. Like you probably had a lot planned for that.
Yeah, I did actually.
And then like that was the only bit of information I had before the match burned out. So I had a lot of room to work with that.
Right.
And I think this game was good for me too, because it forced me, the time limit forced me to focus on player actions and responding. Like, it was such an improv game for my side. Like, I know you had, was there a lot of improv for you?
I had...
I know there was with the rooms because you didn't
I had
prepare.
4 rooms of improv, and the glowstone that you picked up was something different. So I would say, like, prep-wise, I used about 60% of what I had, and then 40% I made up on the fly.
Cool. I kept on worrying about not being able to overcome the challenges or overcoming them in just really either generic ways or the same way, like with a glowstone and a sword. Like, I didn't want to just do that for every room, like
right.
just stab my way to the next doorway.
And you didn't. You did a good job. And I think I was kind of picking up on that. I know at one room I kind of described kind of poorly. And, you know, for the podcast, we restated it. It was the room with the Beatles. I did a poor job of describing it. It was just like you came out in a hole, and then there was Beatles and there was dead bodies. Yeah. And you're like, what's peril here? And
I was just like, and the match burned out in my hand because the whole time I was trying to process what the peril actually was, when in my brain, I was just thinking, just walk to the next door.
Right.
Because it's just Beatles and they're eating dead bodies. They're busy.
Right.
But I didn't realize that the Beatles were meant to be flesh eating in general, alive or dead.
So it's not in the episode, but I had to, as a GM, recut that for Brandon because I think I did a bad job describing that. Like, I feel like what I have to do is set up traps and rooms in such a way where there's an obvious answer for the problem, but allow for improv as well.
Yeah.
So I made sure in that first room with the bees, the trees, there were dead branches and stuff on the ground because I knew...
I didn't even realize that you had said that. I just kind of added that, but because I wasn't listening for that.
Right. Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
Then you just picked up on it.
Yeah. The other aspect of the beetle room was when I was processing what the peril was and when I was thinking of the peril being the Beatles themselves, a lot of my
items,
the lack of action was looking at my items and thinking about how I can get past the room because I can't just stab all of these beetles.
I spend 20 hours stabbing every beetle.
Yeah, like that's not going to be a helpful way of getting through that.
No.
And there's no other items that I had that I could have done that.
Right, and so that's I feel like was a failing on my end as a GM. So I didn't flesh out that room enough. So that was really good. I think you did a really good job. I think you did a good job with the glowstone. I think you did a good job with your flashbacks. I think you did a good job of finding the sword and using the whip and everything. I think you responded great to all the perils that were put in front of you.
But I tuned out a lot of the description to try and filter it out in terms of what I needed to know to get past it because of the stress, because I needed to think in terms of what are the facts of this room? How do I overcome it? Me as a player, I didn't really get the chance to like soak in and enjoy the atmosphere. It was constant stress for me.
I think you did fine. I think you did an excellent job. So I know it was stressful. It was stressful for me too. Because like, how many times did I had to stop with that match in my hand and go, I got to describe this in like 2 or 3 sentences.
Yeah.
What are the key aspects? What does he need to know? What's the problem? Where's the end goal? So I was thinking all the time, I have to make sure he knows where the end goal is, what the peril is, and like enough description for him to like work in this room. So did you have fun?
In retrospect, yes. Now that I have a chance to kind of like...
Are you like me where it's like being on is hard in a game?
Yes, because that game is entirely being on.
Right. And there's nobody else. There's nobody else to play. So that's I think 2-player games are kind of more stressful sometimes because there's so much on you.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in a group of 4 people or more, you have people to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, I'm the kind of player that does work best with that environment of not necessarily coming up with stuff myself, but taking a concept and kind of running with it. And that's easy to do when there's a lot of people, a lot of ideas bouncing around. With just us, it's
a little struggle.
Yeah. It's kind of like with breaking the ice, where the back and forth is also a real-time conversation. And that was equally stressful, but at least that didn't have a time component to it.
Right. I think it should have, because we would have not have talked for 4 hours.
Yeah. That was...
I had fun. I enjoyed this.
Yeah. I think this would be a fun game to play again. Like,
yeah,
just like
I think it's a good
game to have, like, kind of on the bookshelf of just like pull it out every now and then and play, grab a couple matches and just kind of play around with it. Be very casual.
I think it's a really great tool for, like I said, for GM, where you're trying to like come up with a dungeon essentially.
Yeah.
I was telling you on the way up that like I have all these ideas bouncing around for mini campaigns and dungeons and one shots and like actual dungeon crawl shit, and I never get to use it because I'm right now just doing a bunch of one shots. Mm-hmm. And this was fun for me, like so much fun coming up with this tomb. Like, I don't know if you could tell how into it I was about the descriptions of these places and the things in it. And like, I obviously had a theme going on.
Well, I saw how happy you were to write these index cards out. Yes. So I had an idea. And
then talk about it and trying to show you, even though I can't show you because it's your dungeon that you're going to go through. So I'm excited about like stuff in the future to make, because I had all sorts of cool ideas with like you said, with the statues that I didn't get to say, and like the pool that was in there, and just the stag that you saw briefly
stabbed in the face.
You stabbed in the face. It was kind of like a Shadow of the Colossus thing that you could have done in there. But yeah, so I'm excited about like making actual like dungeons in the future.
I'm excited to take my time and slowly describe what I do in the future and not have to come up with something in a second.
Literally a second or 2 or 3. All right. Well,
and literally watching this wood burn down.
Oh, God. I think they did a good job of that. I feel like we were both so nervous to light a match.
There was one time when it almost burned out and you handed it to me and it actually increased. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Oh, wow. So yeah, I think this game did a good job of creating that tension of like, I'm in this room, all I have is this match, and I can only see and do whatever I can while it burns.
I definitely felt that tension.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for playing with me.
Yeah, that was fun.
I'm glad you had a good time, even if it was stressful.
Now they can relax and breathe. It sounds like a great game.
Oh,
now that I'm not currently
playing it, it feels like it'll be a great game. Hey, you can eat your taco.
My reward taco.
Your reward taco.
I pull out my backpack. I open it up, and what's inside? It's a Taco Bell taco.
A soft shell taco.
You had to bleep out Taco Bell.
Nope, I'm keeping it.
But fate is fickle, and the wheel turns.
I'm gonna eat your soul. Wait. You let your fate slip through your fingers.
The thing I don't understand about this exchange is the thing that I say to you is a continuation of some sentence that is not present in this. Mm-hmm. So I'm not quite sure why. If there's something that I might be missing.
It's, I just need to make it outside, but fate is fickle and the wheel turns.
Oh, is that? Oh, I think that's every time I face the peril. Whoops.
You could just say it a couple different times.
I just need to make it outside. 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 I just need to make it outside.
Okay, and I'm like, but fate is fickle and the wheel turns. You let your fate slip through your fingers. You let your fate slip through your fingers. You let your fate slip through your fingers.
My fate is in my own hands. 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 My fate is in my own hands.
My fate is in my own hands.
My fate is in my own hands.
Right. Hands. Mine.
But fate is fickle and the wheel turns.
Okay. I think we've done that enough.
Okay. We'll just keep doing the whole podcast.
But fate is fickle and the wheel turns.
As the world turns.
Da-da-da.
I don't know the song to that.
Okay. But a new peril lurks in the dark. Blades in the dark. But a new peril lurks in the dark. I forgot what I was supposed to say. Oh my god. This is going to be horrible to edit.
Horrible.
So, yeah. That wasn't the Warren, because yet again, I have shown that I have bad time management skills, and we probably won't do the Warren for a while. Whoops. But I think this was really fun. I've been wanting to play A Scoundrel in the Deep for a while. Was worried about lighting matches in the studio. Sorry, Josh. It was okay. We didn't set any alarms off. Anyway, I think it reminds me a lot of kind of like Dread, building that tension where you have to pull Jenga blocks, and just like waiting for that match to burn out or break or whatever. It was great. I had a lot of fun running it. Like I said in the end of game talk with Brandon, I really enjoyed making the dungeon content and having perils and stuff. And I think I did a pretty good job actually describing things. I feel like this was a good exercise in crafting a dungeon for the future whenever I start doing actual, running my own kind of campaigns and stuff. I'm actually really happy with how it went. Stressful, but completely fun. Okay, so anyway, Shapeshift is a member of the Geek Spectrum Network. You can find me online on Twitter at ShapeshiftCast for podcast news, or at Rocket Orco, which is my personal Twitter. If you've been enjoying listening to me grow and develop as a GM, please consider leaving a rating or review on iTunes, or sharing the show with other people would be also great. Another way you can help me out is by becoming a patron at Patreon/Geekspective. It's where I post all the extra content, like probably I'll put up my note cards that I made for this game so you can kind of get an idea of how ridiculous I am with notes and disorganized I am. And get like bloopers and shit, like sweet outtakes where we basically just burp at each other for 5 minutes. And I'm going to start adding like a little bit of samples at the end of shows just to give you an idea of what the great outtakes sound like. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in 2 weeks for, I don't know yet, probably another 2-player game, because yet again, I have not prepared for much. My life is in shambles.